Hi guys, so this is my third video that I am now putting onto my channel. So what I originally was going to do was a director's spotlight for Christopher Smith, where I was going to talk about 4 of his films. Now I'm still going to do that, but rather than release it as one video, I'm going to release it as 4 separate videos. Now the main reason for that is I have a wife and I have a son and it's a pretty busy job, so I don't really have so much free time to be able to basically do a lot of prep of what I wanted to do for this. And rather than put a video out every 2 months or so, I just thought this was a way to get the same content out but like filter it every couple of weeks, so then my channel becomes a little bit more constant rather than not a lot going on and then every so often something popping in. It's like something I want to build. So I've actually just finished watching Black Death, as I said, from Christopher Smith. Now this is the first time that I've looked at a film basically with a critical eye. It's not something I normally do. Obviously I pay a lot of attention to films, I enjoy films, I like watching them, but I tend to just sit back and let myself be taken on the intended journey. So this was a little bit different, and I've decided to take some notes. I apologise that I'll probably be reading these notes that I've actually just typed up. I was just writing them down while I was watching the film. And yeah, so let me just get straight into it. So the synopsis of the film: it's set in medieval England and basically revolves around the plague, or the Black Death, where you get the title from the film. And well, it also revolves around faith, Christianity, paganism. Religion is quite a big factor in this story, about using it for manipulation and power. So basically there is word of a village that hasn't had the plague reach it, and there's actually a necromancer residing in the village, which is someone that can basically resurrect the dead, so bring the dead back to life. And there is a knight and a gang of mercenaries that have been charged to bring him to, I think it's the archbishop or some sort of bishop. Basically they're being tasked to bring this necromancer to be judged by the eyes of God on earth. Yeah, sorry, that sounds a bit weird. But anyway, our main character that we follow is a young monk who isn't quite monk-like because he's actually in love. He has a lover, a young woman, and well, he sends her into the forest to try and escape the plague, the Black Death, that is currently ravaging through their village and the monastery of where he is. So, sorry, I'm just going through the notes now. So the knight and the mercenaries, they go to his monastery because they need a guide to find where this village is, and he obliges because basically that's his plan. He wants to leave the monastery because he's sent his lover out into the woods, and he wants to go and find her. And being a monk, it's not something you can just walk away from the monastery. You need to have some sort of task or mission to be given to you, and this is his way out. So basically, I'm going to stop saying basically, I think I say it a little bit much, but our group set off to find the village. Along the way we learn some backstory about characters, about why they're on their mission, and basically the story builds from there. We get to the woods. Our monk goes to find his lover, but he only manages to find her horse, maybe dead horse, I can't quite remember, even though I've just watched it, and some blooded clothing, and obviously he fears the worst. And pretty much basically straight after that, they're attacked by a gang of thieves, and there's a realization that these woods are very dangerous, so they hasten their mission to find the village. And well, once they get to the village, they find it's a pagan village. And then the film starts to take us through the tensions between the two rivaling religions of Christianity and paganism. And we're taken on this kind of vision of this. Well, we see it through the eyes of our characters, through the eyes of the monk and the knight and the mercenaries, who are all Christian. And so we see it through the eyes of God, and that paganism is all about witchcraft. Well, you can imagine that pressures build from there, and when the third act reveals itself, there's a tangible power shift from our once strong characters. And well, it almost flips. You think it's flipped, but it's actually that the director has taken us not on a different route, but he's showing us our characters in a different way. And rather than the brute force strength that they've shown through the first two acts of the film, we are shown their faith and their strength in the brotherhood of their faith, which is overwhelmingly stronger than their brute force. The brute force can be broken, but their faith can't be broken, even though the pagans try to break their faith. But it becomes a lot more emotional, and it's the emotions that start to run through the film aren't really apparent from basically the first two acts of the film. So the whole third act has quite a strong shift, and it's good, it's interesting, and it's kind of takes you by surprise. Well, with our main character, there are some twists, and the twists link well to paganism and Christianity. And so the choices that he makes with in mind his Christian belief and what the kind of how the pagans have manipulated things for him to see. It's well, the choices he makes have monumental repercussions on this character, and it's quite a shocking twist. I mean, it's a very good twist. Well, the overall story, okay, it's a little light, the story, but it's handled very well with strong scripts, and there's great casting choices with this. So although the story is a little light, you don't really notice it so much because what's done with it is done very, very well. The cinematography is it's very good. It's great. There's a nice desaturized tint that suits the feel very well, and the tone of the film fits perfectly with what's going on. Think of like The Witch. It's like similar time period. It's not quite as faithful, the language used in the script, but so it's a little easier to understand. It's not quite modern day, but it's tweaked, so it's easier to follow. The locations and the sets look great, and the characters, although a little light on backstory, they are still interesting, and they have believable tensions that reflect the situations that they face. And like I said, the acting is done very well, so it's good, it's strong. The overall tone of the film is quite heavy and unrelenting. It's not like it's not that it's not a fun watch, but there's not really any happy respite to this film. It's all the way through, it's quite unrelenting. And there's some good and gritty and some dirty action scenes, which is all practical effects, which is good to see. They could have thrown some CGI in, as some films do, which you don't always seem to be apparent why they do that. But this is all kept practical, which is good. But this isn't an action film, and I know when you look at the cover and even the brutal stuff that's written on there, it can give a bit of a wrong vibe to it, like you think it's an all-action sword fest for 90 minutes. And although the brutal stuff it's misleading. It's actually very apt. It fits well, but maybe not in the context that it's an all-out sword fight. It's not. The film is a lot deeper, but there are some brutal elements to it. So, well, that's my overall thoughts on the film. I would recommend this. I've seen it 3 times now, and each time it's gone up half a point. So now I'm actually at 8 out of 10, which is, I think it's a good solid score, and it's yeah, it's a difficult one. It's whenever you have these medieval kind of films, they always tend to be more sword fighting and more action, and this really isn't the case with this one. It goes into religion, but not in a boring way, as some religious tone films can be. It's a good balance, and it's very interesting, and as I said, I recommend it. So, Black Death by Christopher Smith, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. And that's my first film, the first one of 4 that I will be reviewing. I think next I will do Triangle, which I actually have watched already, but I'll do that in a separate video, and then I will follow up with Creep and Severance. 4 very, very different films. That is something that is a theme with this character with this director, sorry, that his theme is he doesn't have a theme. Like, each of his films look, basically, they're very different. Yeah, they're different beings. It's like they're done by completely different people. That's not a bad thing, but maybe when you're trying to build your reputation, it's good to have your own maybe visual style or something that's recognizable about you as a director, as a filmmaker. But that's not really a fair gripe. Like, all the films I've seen of his, they've been very, very entertaining. Yeah, I like him. I was going to say I like his style. He doesn't have a style. He seems to change it for each film, and I suppose his adaptability is something to be admired. But anyway, I will finish up now. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen and to watch this, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back soon. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.